and that shotgun is pointed right in my direction. He was also within killing distance. He was within 50 yards of me. Welcome back to the lodge. If you've never turkey hunted before, watch this masterclass, and I'm going to go through this whole list of successful tips that I follow the whole entire season, and hopefully it brings some success to you. All right, so one of the things that we need to recognize as hunters is the vision of the bird. Super, absolutely amazing, good vision on this animal, and we really need to prepare for that. So as the season progresses, I have a few different outfits of camouflage that I'm gonna wear. Early season, a little more brown. As the season progresses, when the foliage starts coming in, I really want to acclimate to my environment to the best of my ability. Something you also need to be prepared for is where the sun is, how much shade there is, where you're actually sitting, compass direction. Before you even set up, which way is the sun going to be coming up from? These are all things that you can do to premeditate your success in the field, to put yourself into a position to bring that bird in, locating that bird, scouting that bird. We're going to talk about all of those things, but this is just the bird's vision itself. So New York State finally caught up to this a couple of years ago, where in the hunter education program on the final exam, what colors do we not wear in the spring turkey woods when we're pursuing turkeys? So it's common sense to me, it's common sense for most of you, but you don't wear red, you don't wear blue, and you don't wear white, but they also included black. You don't wear white or black. Now, I was really happy that they put that into the exam, they put it into the curriculum, but there's a time to wear black. If you are hunting out of a ground blind, the purpose of camouflage is to acclimate to your surroundings. So if you're in a ground blind, you're probably wearing black. So that is a place that is appropriate to wear black. But I preach safety, I constantly do this. If you're wearing black in a ground blind, when you have boots on the ground and you're commuting from point A to point B, have some orange. Identify yourself as not being a target. Doing a little research, there's 11 states in North America, not just the spring season, but a combination of spring and or fall season, where you can actually turkey hunt with center fire rifles. So I don't want to be wearing black 300 yards away, especially if it's in a state that allows the hunting of turkeys with a center fire rifle. So have some orange, be diligent, and make good decisions. If you're in the ground blind, black is fine, but when you're mobile, don't look like a target. So we're still talking about the strengths of the turkey, and that's the turkey's vision. So they can detect movement very, very easily. So something that I like to practice when is in a ground blind, when you're concealed and you can track the bird, you can move with the bird, you got the freedom of movement concealed in that ground blind. But when you're in the field pursuing the bird in the timber, you're not in a ground blind, quite often I only move when the bird does not have line of sight with me. If it gets behind a tree, I'll make a very fast, abrupt movement to get to where that bird's going to be, to get to my effective range. I typically won't sit and track a bird and move with the bird and move with the bird. The bird can actually pick up that subtle movement. I like to say if the animal is moving, you have the freedom of movement. In this scenario, the vision of the bird, I won't continue to track. I'll wait for that bird to get behind something, and then I can move, and I make it quick. Turkeys are kind of a straight line animal. If they're moving from one spot to the next, it's typically in a straight line. They're going to look at topographical features to get to where they want to. So premeditate all of that. I usually don't follow with the bird or track the bird. As soon as I have an opportunity and line of sight is broken, I'll make a quick, abrupt movement, and then I'll plant myself and wait for that shot opportunity. Now, another scenario is if that bird is within your effective range and it's not moving, it's not coming any closer, maybe it sees something it doesn't like, you can kind of see that head changing color of excitement to it's turning a little red, I'm gonna swing as fast as I possibly can on that bird. And typically what happens is that head's gonna periscope before it recognizes danger. It's going to look at the movement like, oh my God, what is that? And then you just have to be super quick on the trigger. If you track and track and track and track before you even get to that bird, you're probably going to hear that alarm putt, and it's going to be running away, and your shot is leaving the arena and you have no opportunity. So some circumstances, so most circumstances I've observed and I've had success with fast, abrupt movements right before a shot, but fast, abrupt movements when line of sight is broken with the bird. I typically won't track with the bird. All right, so moving from a turkey's vision to what are its actual weaknesses and curiosity. You know, something I've said before with many of animals, curiosity kills the cat. This is where subtle calling and mediocre turkey sounds will kill a bird. It's the overcalling where there is no curiosity. Pique interest, make them come looking. I'm going to give my best attempt this weekend to do, me personally, minimal calling. Minimal. I want my daughter Kennedy to do the majority of all of the calling this weekend. It's the 2026 Youth Turkey Weekend. I want her to do this, but I'm going to be there coaching her, guiding her, and instructing her. Pique interest, make that bird pique curiosity to come look. The breeding instinct. The breeding instinct of a turkey. So we're playing this backwards. We communicate as a hen, trying to bring a mature bird to us. When in nature, typically the male gobbles and the hen goes to the male. So I've had so much luck later in the season. Hens are bred, nesting, and after that morning feeding, temperature change, that clutch of eggs needs to be attended. That hen is just going to go sit on a nest and she's going to be unresponsive to a Tom's gobble. As the season progresses, that natural instinct to breed is still there with every male bird, and walking and calling and listening and finding that bird that wants to play the game, it's not done. Don't think because you see birds breeding in April, birds are nesting in April, birds are gobbling in April, that they're going to be bred out. It's not a thing. It's not a thing at all. That natural instinct to breed is still going to be there with the bird, and that's their downfall. We're calling to them as a female, and we're sitting there with a shotgun instead of being a live hen. So that breeding instinct is going to be there. Find the bird that wants to play the game. All right, so the third turkey weakness I'm going to talk about is their predictable daily structure. Kind of like us. You wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you have breakfast, you get ready for work, and you drive the same way to work every single day. We are very predictable. So can the animal. That bird, it's not necessarily going to be the same roost tree every single night. But if left unmolested, that bird typically roosts in a very, very, very core area, kind of like coyotes. Coyotes have their core area, their home range. Kind of think of it like that, where their roosting area is like their bedroom, and they're going to be roosting typically, if left unmolested, in those same general areas. So patterns typically dictate what does the hen do, what does the tom do, and if those hens aren't responsive, that tom's just going to follow. He's going to gobble, communicate, stay with the hens, and he's going to wait for a hen to be susceptible to him, to breed, that natural instinct, and their morning routine is basically going to consist of fly down and then destination points. So nicer days, warmer weathers. It's going to be a little cooler out this weekend, which is kind of a bummer. That it's going to be a little bit of a coin toss of what these birds are actually going to do. But as soon as we get into the month of May and we get more of a consistent weather pattern, one thing that we can look for destination points are backyard bird feeders. Backyard bird feeders, fresh tilled earth on agriculture, these are always going to be destination points. I can be so far away from the neighbor's property that has bird feeders, but it's a destination point. What are those birds going to every single morning? Put yourself between where the birds are roosting and where the destination point is going to be. So basically, bottom line is turkey movement can be very predictable if left unmolested, and that can really be a weakness on their predictable daily structure. All right, so we want to find birds. One of the key things to be successful on a turkey hunt is hunting property that has birds. So these right here, these are absolutely your best friend for turkey scouting. In the field, in a blind, and especially from the road. You have property or you don't have property, but you have permission on the neighbor's property. Look for areas that are actually holding birds. And obviously, if birds are there, those are going to be properties that you're going to want to hunt. So locating birds. Where did we go? Couple simple calls. A crow call. That's quite often many hunters' go-to call to locate a bird. Now, any of these calls that I'm going to do are going to be an audible stimulus just to get a bird to gobble. I like using a locator call instead of communicating as a hen because I could potentially become a destination point. If I'm walking and I'm trying to get a bird to fire, I might use one of these calls, just a locator call. So this is just a simple crow call. The thing you want to do with the crow call, loud. Any locator call, you want to make it loud so you can have that audible stimulus to get that bird to fire. Just get him to gobble. You just need to know where he is. That's all you need to do. The one thing you don't want to do is do like a whole entire calling rendition with an owl hoot, a crow call, any of the other ones that I'm going to talk about, because the sound you're making could overlap with the gobble of a tom, and you'll never hear it because you're too loud, overwhelming the sound of that tom. So just quick. Shut up. Just listen for that response. Owl hoots, I like to use my voice. Pause, wait, nothing, nothing, nothing. And wait. Don't do any locator call too long. Can't stress that enough. So another thing I like to use, probably just go on YouTube and type in two pronunciations, pileated or, oh shoot, what's the other pronunciation for a woodpecker, Dennis? Pileated or pileated? Pileated?
It's fine.
I think there's a couple pronunciations. A pileated, I call it a pileated woodpecker or a pileated woodpecker. Take your rabbit squealer distress call, and this is where that cyclical breathing that I've taught comes in the past. You're not calling as a distressed rabbit. You're blowing air out and sucking it back in as fast as you can, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can really kind of replicate the sound of that pileated woodpecker. As loud as you can, totally natural in the field. You sound like a pileated woodpecker. You could get that tom to respond back to that. And this one sounds completely hypocritical. A coyote howler, rip one sharp, loud, aggressive howl and just shut up. Many a times I'll get a bird respond back to that. It's that shock gobble, just communicating back to an audible stimulus. And just shut up. So those are just a couple of examples of locator calls where you can be the audible stimulus to get a bird to gobble. Funny story, when I was working for my former municipality that I was full-time employed by, I was working on a fire hydrant. There was a metal-to-metal connection that would not come apart. One of the best ways to do this is with heat or vibration. So I didn't want to give it heat because I had to put my hands on it. So I took a ball peen hammer, and it's cast iron. swung the hammer, ding, and had a bird gobble. Had a good laugh. Turned around, I'm not even looking at the fire hydrant anymore that I'm working on. I'm beating up a fire hydrant with a hammer looking for where this bird's gobbling from. So when we park the truck, we don't want to slam doors. I've had birds gobble to the slam of a truck door. Not from me, but from somebody that I'm hunting with. Diligent approach, especially in the morning. Don't wake that bird up on the roost. Try not to get that shot gobble and let your presence be known as a human. One of those calls, great example, but it's the fact of the matter, audible stimulus to shock gobble and get that bird to open up his mouth, and then you can determine how to proceed on that bird. When you're not hunting and you're scouting and you're looking for birds, something that I really like to look for are scratchings. Fresh scratchings on the ground. Kind of looks like a rototiller goes through there with one pile, and not a pile, one clearing of leaves, another clearing of leaves, and you can just see that pattern, and you can kind of see a line of where a bird is working, scratching at the ground. Find those fresh scratchings, and if you have the opportunity for, that's a great spot for trail camera reconnaissance, especially with a cell camera. Or what I like to look for is little depressions in the earth. Now, when birds are preening themselves, they'll take a dust bath and they'll hit those same spots over and over, and it'll make a little depression in the earth. One thing to look for is not just the depression in the earth, but what kind of soil is it? If you can look at it and it looks and feels kind of like talcum powder, that is a great soil content for a bird to take a dust bath. That is a great destination point to have a trail camera to keep on those dust baths, to take inventory of age class and family group structure of birds. How many birds are commuting through there?
Are you saying dust baths are reused? I mean, that's great soil for them. They're going to keep coming back to the same dust bath?
Absolutely.
Okay. You can always look at the camera.
When Dennis, you can include this. When you leave and you go up the driveway, that little flower garden on the left, at the very end of it, there's no grass that grows. And the reason for that is, it is the one spot on my property, all of my chickens, constantly. They won't take a dust bath anywhere else on the property other than right there. And I know a chicken is not a turkey, but their family group structure and communication and preening and feeding and scratching, it's spot on. And turkey tracks, if you have the opportunity, turkey tracks, if it looks like a turkey, it's probably a freaking turkey. Take inventory of what you see in the field with droppings and feathers and tracks, scratchings, and I love finding those dust bath spots. And the one thing with a spot that the bird is taking a dust bath in is that soil content is never going to change. Unless something happens to the habitat, that soil content is never going to change, and it's going to be an annual spot that bird is going to be taking a dust bath. So when I did mention tracks, I'm going to have my editor throw in some photos just of scale of comparison of size, shape, orientation of the track, just so you physically have something to look at of different species of birds, about what you're looking for in a turkey itself. Saying it out loud, turkey is going to be bigger. Turkey is going to be the largest biped, two-legged animal that is a bird walking around in forest and timber environments in New York. All right, so we're still scouting here and finding those roost areas. I love looking for aggressive topography. If you have hillside like this with tree growth coming out of the hillside, If there's trees in the middle of the hillside, why would that bird want to fly all the way from down here up into the tree when the bird can either walk up here, or if the bird's already on the flat topography above that tree, flying out into a roost is a hell of a lot easier than flying up into a roost. So you have any topography and there's tree growth on hillside of topography, those are actually really good spots to find roosting areas. Looking for scat under the trees, feathers adjacent to those trees, above it, below it, look for more scratching. And when that bird flies down, when those hens fly down, they're feeding, they're looking for food, you're gonna find a lot more scratching in those areas adjacent to roosting areas before they pick that destination point of where they're gonna go. All right, so scouting, early morning, destination points, fields edges, logging roads. If there's logging roads in the timber that head to fields edges, those are great destination points from roosting to logging road to the field. You're gonna find a lot more scratchings and a lot more turkey sign adjacent to those areas that they're using to commute, kind of like a highway. You know, we're predictable, we wake up, go to work, drive the same road. If the bird's left completely alone and not bothered, it's probably gonna be taking the majority of the time taking the same path. The last scouting thing right here, if you don't know where the bird is sleeping, you're probably just guessing and you're really not hunting. Put in the time, energy, and effort before you even step out of the truck, before you even hunt the bird. I've had luck just going in blind, but I'm going in blind not necessarily knowing exactly where that bird is sleeping, but I know it's property that holds birds. So the more you can do with your approach on roosted birds, the chances significantly increase. However, what I stated before, those natural instincts to breed, you could show up to a property 5-6 hours after fly down and be just as successful without putting in all of that work, but just know that the property holds birds. All right, so the gear that actually matters.
Hey, before you we'll cut this out, take a drink. Mm-hmm. This is a great time for me to ask you a question because it just occurred to me.
So something I want to bring up about roosting areas, especially on public land. If you're hunting on private land, be very, very, very clear communicating with landowners. Find out if anybody else is allowed to be on the property, if there's dog walkers or people using recreational vehicles. Make sure you're the only hunter on private land so bad things don't happen. And if there is somebody else, get their phone number, try to communicate with them. Finding the roosting area is very important, especially on public land, because you want to be the first one there. That other hunter that doesn't take the time to scout, to put in the time, the energy, the effort, the scouting, the binoculars, the, said it before, boots on the ground, to find where the birds are, you want to be the first one there before Elmer Fudd shows up, walks over your shoulder, and screws it all up on you. You want to be the first one there. Optimistic with hunter etiquette, if your vehicle is the first one parked at the gate, in the parking area, get to where you need to be, establish yourself and your presence before anybody else shows up. So I got a great story on not good hunter etiquette and safety concerns, hunting roosting areas on public land. If this happened to me, it can definitely happen to somebody else. So I scouted the area, looked on my aerial maps. There was an adjacent property to the public that we were hunting on, deciduous and non-deciduous trees. We found the blend, we found the habitat, didn't actually have eyes on birds on the public, but had eyes on the birds later in the day on the private. So in between the two, we'd have to walk through a pine grove, to the edge of the pine grove, to the deciduous trees. There was a good clearing in there. And this was a great spot where we're getting close to what is very good chance with topographical features, tree species, adjacent to private. That is definitely the destination point. Got there early, walked through the pines, and it rained the night before. So as we walked, it was like walking on a carpet. It was super quiet, super soft walking with all the pine needle bedding. Found 2 nice blowdowns. My friend Mark sat to one side. I sat on the right. We got just on the fringe. I don't believe we had decoys set up in the timber. I typically don't ever run decoys, even with the amount of clearing that we had. So we had first light, had birds gobbling, didn't want to cut any more distance. I felt like we were in my 100-yard rule just by coincidence with map scouting on this one. And a little tree talk. I was the first hen on the ground, had birds gobbling, sounded like they were coming in our direction. I went quiet, and the next thing I hear is a branch snap behind me. The first thing that came to mind was a heavy-footed mammal, gotta be a deer. Walking through the pines, stepped on a branch. I cocked my head over my shoulder, and it was Elmer Fudd. He is stalking the sound. He's breaking one rule. He's stalking the sound. 100% this guy is stalking my sound. Is he breaking another rule? Is his safety off? Is his finger inside the trigger guard? Because if he has a clue, he needs to make a very quick decision on shooting a bird if he's actually stalking it. All of these things are going through my head, and that shotgun is pointed right in my direction. He was also within killing distance. He was within 50 yards of me. So 100% the right thing to do in this scenario, even in the curriculum of the New York State Hunter Education Program. You yell stop, you identify yourself as not being a target, but this was also a scenario where I was not complacent reading out of a manual. I didn't want to yell stop and startle somebody that's pointing a firearm right in my direction if he's breaking another one of those rules. Is his safety off? Is his finger in the trigger guard? Why the hell would I yell stop at somebody and scare the absolute crap out of them and potentially have them discharge their firearm? All I did was whisper to my partner, had him sit in silence. I cursed at him, said, "Don't move." And he didn't. He just froze like a statue. He knew not what was going on. And Elmer Fudd kept coming, taking a couple more steps. And as soon as his muzzle cleared in a safe direction and he leaned up against leaned his shoulder up against a tree, I don't remember what I yelled. It was hey, it was stop, it was something. And immediately he identified me as not being a target. When he looked up and he didn't swing, he was looking with his eyes. I put my hand straight up in the air so he could see me, and I could see the look of shame on this guy's face through his turkey mask. He just put his head down, picked his head up, gave an apologetic wave, did a 180, and he left as quiet as he came. So that could have been really, really scary, and that's where it ended. But don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. So we're going to talk about some fundamentals, turkey dynamics of creating sound with not just this call, a couple other calls. So if you go back into the archives of Rush Custom Callers YouTube, find some of the shorts, and there's some really, really good over the shoulder of calling and the dynamics of calling where you can really, really look at the dexterity. So yelps, we call it a yelp because of the yelp, yelp, yelp. More pressure is going to create different sound. Less pressure is going to create different sound. Different strikers, different pots, everything, mixing and matching these pieces are all going to create different sounds. Listen to the bird, imitate what the bird is doing. That's going to be your best teacher. But creating the yelps, purrs, and putts or clucks. Single popping of one syllable. And then combine them. So if I don't have a bird that's fired up, I'm gonna just quiet, soft, non-excited yelping. Slow, kind of monotone, listen for a bird. If I'm walking in the woods, if I'm stationary, I'm just gonna start with that same thing. See if anybody's within earshot, hang out, wait a little bit, and then I'm going to start combining a little bit and picking up volume. Try to get that bird to fire up. Not too long, make it short enough so when that bird hears the call, you're not still just calling and calling and calling and potentially not hearing the response of that bird. So short, quick, loud, as I'm moving, as I'm sitting. Listen, nothing, do it again. If you don't hear a bird, it's probably time to move. Or you can just sit and wait it out. Birds are typically moving all day long. If they were there in the morning, they might be back in an hour, they might be back in a few hours. I like to try to get ahead of the birds to wherever their destination point is. If you're just going to sit and wait it out, give a little, some light yelps every now and then. Find a bird, or excuse me, you're not even finding the bird. If you're sitting stationary in a ground blind, give a call every now and then so you become the destination point. Don't let a bird just walk by you and you're not calling often enough if you're stationary. Now, less is more. So this is a big one. Less is more. You get that bird to audibly respond back. You called, he cut you off. I like to say he's coming. If a tom cuts you off as you're calling, 9 out of 10, maybe even higher than that, that bird is coming to your call. That's a great time to go silent. Another thing you can do is, excuse me, if there's room between you and that bird, when you call and he cuts you off, fire him up. Like, you were the audible stimulus to get him to gobble, fire him up. Cut exciting, cut as if you're that excited hen. Fire that bird up, and if he is just gobbling at absolutely everything that you touch on that pot or any call, fire him up, make him come, and then go silent. Make him come look really hard for you. So, overcalling. If you get what I like to call that courtesy gobble, you call, you wait, there's nothing, then you get a gobble. I'll call that a courtesy gobble. He kind of gobbled to the audible stimulus, but he's really not fired up. So I'll kind of go at that bird with the same approach. I'll hang out, I'll wait. He didn't cut me off. What do I do next? The distance. Proximity is going to be the biggest thing of how I'm going to play this out. If he was a ways off, I'm going to hang out for a minute. I'm just going to wait. And then I'm going to call again. Throw some cuts in there and take his temperature. Maybe he's getting warmer, and then maybe you can get him fired up, and then maybe he will come. Or he was just throwing out that courtesy gobble because he's got live hens with him and he's not going to leave them. And he was just giving that courtesy gobble back. If that's the case, what is the property that they're on? Do you have room to get ahead of them? And remember, kind of like a straight line animal, if they're here and their destination's here, it's probably going to be in a straight line. If you see a direction of travel, it's probably going to be in a straight line. All right. Overcalling, I'm not going to continue to call to that bird that just gave me a courtesy gobble. The reason for that is I don't want to turn into white noise. He's going to get bored with it. If he's out there with hens and I'm just continuing to call at him, he's got no reason. He doesn't want to. I'm turning into white noise and I sound like blah, 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 blah. I want to fire him up, and that's a completely different bird that I'm hunting. So Don't continue to call and call and call and call, because eventually what's going to happen is you're just turning into white noise at that point. When you're walking in the timber, before you ever make a call to listen for where that gobbler is, examine all of your surroundings. There's a big fat maple there, there's a big oak there, there's a stone wall fence over there. Look for your own destination point if there is a gobble. So before you call, where am I gonna sit? Where can I get to? Where can I conceal myself? Find a tree that's bigger than your outline, so you're not sitting against a little sapling and then you're this big blob at the bottom. Find something to break up your silhouette. You can get away with smaller trees as long as there's plenty of undergrowth around you to help break up your silhouette. You're not going to have very much luck leaning against a sapling in open timber with no ground cover and no ground foliage. So before you ever make a call, look for spots where if a bird responds, what can I get to? So you always want to have something to help break up your silhouette, to help camouflage yourself so you're not sticking out like a sore thumb. And if that bird is coming, you called, the bird gobbled, he's fired up, he's coming, you get set up, get your gun up, get ready, be familiar with your firearms. We're going to be using break barrel single shot 410s this weekend with a hammer. So my daughter has been doing nothing but practicing with this.
I'm good.
All right, here's your tungsten load. Load it up. Now what?
Gotta cock it?
Full cock. Safety on. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, all you need to do,
The eye.
aim for the eyeball because it's center of target.
Should I aim for the eye or a little bit below it because of the height?
No, just because of the spread pattern, that you could just put a dot on the paper. Aim for the eyeball dot so we can look at what your spread pattern is, okay? Safety off, you shoot when you're ready, no other tricks, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead, you shoot when you're ready.
Put your ear stuff on.
I'm putting my ears on, don't you worry about me, kiddo. Good job. All right, now what? Break it open. I missed.
You missed.
Keep it pointed safe direction, away from where we're walking.
It's safe.
Okay. Let's go see how you did, kid.
I can't keep up with 12-year-olds.
I had 3 in there.
You aimed right for the eyeball.
Yeah, I did.
I think we're good.
Okay.
That's a dead turkey.
I think we're totally good.
Plus, none of the meat's disturbed.
Nope.
Yep.
Our
Maybe that one little thing, except the meat's like that.
You might have a little flyer every now and then. That looks really, really good. You aimed right here.
Yes.
And we're kind of symmetrical with how much shot. Actually, here's a better way to look at it.
Whoa. So what do you think?
Yeah.
There. That's right above the eyeball.
So, remember how spread out that was when we were shooting at 10 yards?
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah, with the cheap loads. If we were shooting a bird at that 10 yards with this load,
It would be like just there.
yeah, it would be really, really, really tight. Really tight.
She's getting proficient. She's a heck of a shot, but the one thing that we're going to be working on is not shooting the bird. She's great with muzzle control. The one thing that we're going to be working on is her dexterity with unloading the gun without shooting it, of dropping that hammer. So everything that you do before you call, look for spots you can sit to camouflage, blend yourself in. If and when that bird responds, get to that destination point, get concealed, get ready. And by get ready means know your equipment, have the gun ready to shoot, make sure it's freaking loaded. These are times that you don't want to take the time to figure out that screw up. So know where your safety is, be ready to shoot, and be in the ready position, probably leaning against stone wall, fence, a tree, whatever you're leaning against, on your butt, gun on your knee. Minimize your movements the best you can. Don't have your shotgun on your lap, because you're not going to have the time to pick it up from your lap to your shoulder. The bird's going to see the movement. Be on the ready, on your butt, shotgun on the knee. Get ready for that shot. All right, so decoys. Decoys in the woods, my rule, typically not so much. I don't want to say I never use decoys in the woods. There are few spots where I felt comfortable deploying decoys in the woods because lack of ground cover, lack of foliage, big wide logging roads. I want to have that bird to have a visual on something as a destination to get to where I'm hunting adjacent to it. So the decoy's there obviously for a reason. Now, most timber environments, I want that bird to come look. I want him to come looking hard. These are great times where you call, you get him fired up, the bird's coming, you just shut up. You shut up and you just make him come look really, really hard for you. So decoys in the woods, I use very, very sparingly. It's kind of situational with ground visibility, but typically my rule of thumb is decoys in the woods, not so much. Make the bird come look for you. Fields, open environments, plenty of visibility, great spot to use decoys. The bird is such a visual animal. Give the bird something to key in on from a distance. It hears it, oh, and now it sees it. Give them that destination to get to. Decoys in fields, great. Typically not so much in the timber. I have watched this in the timber where they come looking for the sound and then all of a sudden they get too close, pop out of, edge of thick, coming from a logging road, come around the corner, and then boom, there's a decoy there. It's a little startling. They don't like it. They get spooked, and see you later. Decoys in the woods, typically I've not so much. So a couple scenarios come to mind if that bird does hang up. They probably see something they don't like. Is it your decoy setup? Oh, you know what? That really brings me into something important to talk about. Your decoys. So, strength in numbers. Never, ever, ever have more than one male decoy out. Never have more than one male decoy. I don't care if it's 2 jakes. I would feel more comfortable having a full strut male tom decoy out than having 2 jakes. You don't want to have strength in numbers. If there is one tom, very low probability he's going to come to a hen decoy that you have 2 jakes out on. Don't ever have strength in numbers with your decoys. You can have strength in numbers with a couple of hens and half strut tom, full strut tom, jake, whatever male decoy that you use, only one. So typically in a field, when you see live birds working and a tom turkey is at full strut, he's displaying. And the reason for him to display is because a female hen is present. So having a full strut tom is competition to another tom. So you're displaying the fact that even if you didn't have a hen decoy there, you're displaying that there is a hen there. That is why the tom is in full strut, because he's displaying, he's trying to look, he's poofing up, making himself look like a big tough guy. That's why the head changes the colors to that bright white, blue, red. That snoot is super long. Those are all the things that indicate a female is present and he wants to breed. You put that full strut decoy out, you're not just visibly communicating you're a tom, you're visibly communicating that there's a hen somewhere, even if you don't have the hen present. So another decoy that you can have out is a half strut tom. which is not fully committed to a full display. It's reaching that. It's also displaying the fact that it's the visual communication of there is a hen present, or you're just a turkey doing turkey things. I like using Jake decoys. Now, strength in numbers. I said this before, you never want to have more than one male bird. I also don't want to act or have a decoy spread that looks too dominant. Now, putting out a Jake decoy is way less submissive. Excuse me. Having a Jake decoy is more submissive than having competition of a mature bird. So if there are other male birds in the area and you have a hen decoy with a Jake decoy, I've seen plenty of commitment on Jake decoys. I've seen plenty of commitment on full strut tom decoys. Huge lack of commitment if you put out more than one male decoy. Another decoy spread that I really enjoy putting out is a laydown hen. A female hen on the ground, not on your post elevated above, but on the ground, which is submissive prior to breeding behind a male decoy, regardless if it's a Jake or if it's a Tom. So, another thing, okay, so this is going right back into, where did I leave off? If that bird hangs up. So your decoy spreads, this is really important for orientation of how you put out your decoys. So I'm just gonna use you right here to me in a straight line. I'm either in a ground blind or I'm sitting on the edge of habitat, but between me and you is a field. Now, I am not going to put my decoys right here. I'm going to put my decoys over to my left. And the reason for this is I don't want to be in line of sight if I believe birds are roosting or going to be coming from your area directly to me. I am directly behind the decoys and I am in line of sight. Any of my movement is going to be seen. So what I want to do is offset my decoys, and the reason I am going to put them to my left is I'm right-handed. That's my strong side. So I'm already set up facing here in that general area where my decoys are, so I am not in line of sight. That is actually very, very important. Also, if you have the opportunity, your sun is rising here or your sun is rising here. Don't put your sun rising behind where you think birds are, and don't put your sun behind you. You want to give that bird the most amount of comfort level of visibility. If there's hesitation because they can't see, they're probably not going to completely commit. Have the sun orientation. If all of these things come together for you, in the best scenario, sun rises in the east, sets in the west, have the sun to the left or to the right, so it's not behind them, so you're not looking into the sun, and also filming into the sun sucks. And don't have the sun directly behind you, so you can give that bird the comfort level of not walking into the sun. Offset your decoys, but offset your decoys to your strong side if you're a right-handed or a left-handed shooter. So if that bird hangs up, good probability that it saw something that it didn't like. You could have been too visible, it saw movement, it saw something it didn't like. That bird saw something it did not like. Conceal your movements, conceal your visibility, break up your silhouette, break up your back, give yourself a good backdrop. Maybe you called too much. You got a little too excited, and this is something that's very hard for anybody. It's hard for me. That bird gobbles, you want to call. That bird gobbles, you want to call. And I've said this before, sometimes just shut up and silence is going to be your best killer. Don't continue to call at the bird. Make them come look. It's going to be more natural in that dynamic of turkey vocalization. Or The very last thing I got right here is he hit a terrain barrier, a stone wall fence, a 2-strand barbed wire pasture fence, a small ditch. We're hunting a bird with the brain the size of my pinky nail, of a pea, and they're not a smart animal, but they are very adaptable and they have a great survival instinct, but it does not make them smart. Watching that bird pecking at its own reflection or walking back and forth, gobbling his butt off because he can't figure out, I just need to duck my head to get under a 2-strand barbed wire or a 2-strand pasture fence. Super frustrating. So there's also a potential you got that bird absolutely fired up and there's no commitment. Like he's vocally committing, but he's stationary and he's continuing to talk. There's a good likelihood that bird hit a terrain barrier that it just doesn't know how to get across. So those are opportunities where if you're confident there was a terrain barrier involved, whether it's a stream or and any of the descriptions that I gave previously, what do you have on that property? Know the property. If it's new property, best educated guess that you can give, take out your phone. If you have Onyx, if you have any satellite imagery, where's that bird and what is that terrain feature? Where can I get around that bird and where can I get to a spot that he would feel comfortable traversing and coming to the call? He is so fired up right now. He's probably going to be really easy to fire up again once you relocate and eliminate that terrain feature, get to a spot, fire him back up, and that's going to increase your chance to actually get that bird dead on the ground. Excuse me. All right, I already covered this. You don't want to move when the bird's looking. Move when the bird is behind any structure at all. Quick, abrupt movements, and don't shadow the bird. Just try to keep ahead of the bird. When the bird gets behind a structure, tree, whatever, whoop, move it really quick. The one thing you want to do is notice, is that bird coming at you? Is it going slightly left? Is it going slightly right? Start shifting your body weight on your lower half to prepare for that, especially if the bird is going to your weak side. So don't necessarily think, I'm a right-handed shooter, and if that bird's going to my right, it's going to get to a point where I'm not going to be able to aim at him without moving my butt, my lower half of the body. That's going to be extremely difficult. So if that bird picks left to right movement as a right-handed shooter, the first thing I'm going to do when that bird gets behind that first structure, and obviously this bird is not within my effective range, otherwise I'm just going to shoot him. As soon as that bird gets behind first structure, first tree, I'm not moving my gun. I'm actually moving my butt and moving everything. So then I can continue to track the bird, just moving my upper body. So when the bird's further away, move the hardest thing, which is your lower half. And then as the bird gets closer within your effective range, you just have to make shoulder adjustments with your shotgun. So ethical range. Huge topic of conversation with every change in technology we've had, with your 10 gauge, your 12 gauge, your 20 gauge, and what I love to use, my 410. Started using that a couple of years ago, and it's super light, it's super convenient, and I'm not running and gunning with a 12 gauge over my shoulder anymore. I can hold this gun up with one finger and not break a sweat. Having that 410 is amazing. It is a single shot though. I'm gonna go down too much of a rabbit hole going there.
So you have to, okay, so I'll stop at 410.
Yep. So
actually, it was kind of interesting though.
Okay.
Like I was thinking, what should I use if I went out the first time? Maybe that's the thing.
Yeah. No. I'll bring that up now. So right now, I'm running my 410. Absolutely love the 410 and the versatility that it has. But the ethics, in New York State, number 8 shot used to be the smallest shot size allowed to hunt turkeys. Technology changed, and then the game law catches up. You're not going to have a game law for something that doesn't exist. So the technology change that we had was tungsten. Tungsten is a super hard, dense metal, way more effective and way more ethical than lead. Traditional turkey loads, lead, copper plated, any of the heavy shot, tungsten is the most ethical and devastating in the turkey woods. So, regardless of the ethics, one of the downsides with this, extremely, extremely expensive. The finances associated with tungsten hurt the wallet. They really hurt the wallet. I spent, I went to the gun shop today and I opened up my ammo can, all of the ammunition for all of my firearms and all of the calibers and all the shotgun gauges. Everything is labeled in its own ammo can in a gun safe, just dedicated with ammo. I pulled out my 410 box today and I only had 4 rounds of the tungsten left. Now, my daughter Kennedy is of legal hunting age, and obviously I am. I'm gonna need more than 4 rounds this year. And my wife is also a registered New York State hunter. So I'm gonna need more than 4 rounds this year. I spent, after the New York State background check and 2 boxes of ammo, which is 10 shotgun shells of 410, I spent, I think it was about 100, round numbers, about $110. So you're talking about $10 per shell.
So you're talking about $10 per trigger pull.
Yeah. You're talking about $10 per trigger pull. Now, in the most extreme optimism, you're spending $20 in New York State to hunt turkeys, to fill both of your turkey tags. I was fortunate enough last year that I spent $20 on killing both of my birds last year. So, the ethics are great. The finances, not so great. But you put in all of this time, energy, and effort to pursue the animal, it's only $10. It's only $10. Now, the effective range, I don't care the gauge. I really don't care the gauge. Even with a 410, 50 yards or less. I'm not going to shoot that bird at 50. I'm not going to shoot that bird beyond 50. I've seen some very amazing, crazy things happen at, I think the furthest was just over 70 yards, one with a 10 gauge and one with a 20 gauge. One had a light recoil hand load with a mixed bag, I believe, of 7 and 8 shot. And luck was on this kid's side, and he shot a bird at like 70 yards. I gave him the green light to shoot when the bird was close enough, and he thought the bird was close enough, and never in a million years did I think he was actually going to squeeze the trigger at 70 plus yards when that bird was committed, coming right to us. And he sent one and actually piled that bird. So it can be done, but I'm not recommending it because typically nothing good is going to happen. I've seen birds at 56 yards with a mixed bag of 8s and 9s pile up at 56 yards. And we knew it was exactly 56 yards because we stood on that spot of feathers and shot the ground blind with a rangefinder to reconfirm it. And that bird got its second wind and reanimated when my hunter got to the bird, and then the bird took off running across the field. Fortunately, we found where it crawled in and we were able to successfully dispatch the bird and recover the bird. But the ethics of it, 50 yards and less. And for some of you, 50 yards may be way too far. Me personally, I don't want that bird any closer than 20. Because your spread pattern is so tight. It's like trying to hit a bowling pin that's slightly on the move with a 22. and that's super difficult. Having a spread pattern that's so tight on tungsten, that's something that makes the tungsten extremely ethical. It holds shot pattern, and the amount of angry bees that are coming downrange out of smaller shot size. So the smallest shot size now allowed in New York State is number 9s, and you have that many more angry bees coming out of the muzzle. And the kinetic energy of tungsten when it hits target, it's a stronger, denser metal, harder penetration. Number 9s, you have more angry bees. The ethics of it, I can't say enough good things about shooting the tungsten. Yes, it hurts the wallet, but absolutely the most ethical thing, in my opinion, that you can use in the turkey woods for any gauge shot load. Now, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If you're proficient with whatever gauge you're using and you're still using our usual traditional turkey loads, stick with it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, so this is for you to decide what your ethical effective range is. So just using the 410 as an example, when I took my daughter out, I went through everything with her that I'm going to talk about with you. You break the gun open if you have the capability of a break barrel. We break the gun open and mount it on a lead sled or a tripod where hands-free you can look right down the barrel of the muzzle and put it right on your target. So you can look kind of like through your muzzle, like you're looking through a scope, look right down the muzzle, and then you can go to your red dot sight. And what you're trying to do here is just get your red dot lined up with your muzzle, and you can go back and forth and get that red dot to the eye as close as you can to the center of target that you're looking down through your muzzle. So the next thing I do is probably at about 12 yards, which is super, super close. I am going to take a sheet of cardboard and I'm just going to put one little dot in the center of the sheet of cardboard and put a load in of lead, not tungsten. I'm just going to use number 9 lead load. Shoot that at the cardboard, and now I can make my adjustment for my red dot off of a lead sled or a tripod. Hold right on. Did I hit a little low, little high? I want to get that red dot right to almost center of that hole, because I'm not hitting a spread pattern like this. I'm really hitting a hole in the cardboard at 12 yards that's like a tennis ball. So instead of going back 25 35 yards and trying to get your red dot centered of a spread pattern that's looking like this, get your red dot lined up to a hole. Start at super close, like 12 yards, and then play with it. You're just target shooting at that point with lead rounds. The very last thing you want to do is shoot a tungsten load after you're comfortable with what those 9 leads were doing. Shoot a 9 tungsten through it with your last final adjustment. Set that up somewhere between 25 and 35 yards. See what the spread pattern is. Usually we'll bring the rangefinder, set something up right at about 30 yards, hold on the red dot. Instead of buying the splatter targets, I take a hen decoy and I lay it down on a sheet of cardboard and take a Sharpie marker, and then I trace the whole body silhouette of a hen decoy, and then I go set up that sheet of cardboard. So I just have a silhouette of a hen decoy. Super cheap. Anybody can do that. You don't have to order anything. You don't have to buy anything. You take a Sharpie marker and a sheet of cardboard, draw your own turkey silhouette, and it's a brand new sheet of cardboard. So every single shot is on a brand new piece of cardboard. So all of those Amazon deliveries that show up on the porch magically with my wife's name on them, they all get broken down and they get stuck. They get broken down and I stick them next to my gun safe, and those are the cardboard silhouettes that I'm going to be using for sighting in for turkey season. So as I was talking to the camera, I look past the camera and I see my daughter out there. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kennedy.
So had Kennedy come sit down with me. Good day at school?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So the next thing I was going to talk about was shotgun placement for turkeys. So Kennedy and I, this is not scripted. Kennedy and I just had these conversations within the past few days. So we're working on practice and proficiency with our firearm, but when it actually happens, where do we aim at the bird?
You aim up there if it's a shotgun.
Yep. So with a shotgun, why do we aim here? Can we see that okay? Okay. Why do we aim right there lower on the neck below the head? Why don't we just aim at the head?
Forgot.
That's okay. So if you aim just...
Well, because
Go
the
ahead.
have to be like, because like
Pellets.
the pellets like they split up.
Mhm.
So some of them would be wasted because they'd be going up there, but if they're here, then you'll be getting down there and there.
Yes.
Instead of just half of them going on.
Right. So right here, lower on the neck, like just pick that spot between feathers and head. Right on the neck, lower on the neck. If you put shot placement right on the head of the turkey, 50% of that shot is going over the turkey's head, and only 50% of that shot is getting into the bird's head and neck. If you put that shot placement right in between the feathers and the head, lower on the neck, you're getting 100% of the pellets in the bird's head, in the neck, and you're not getting any of those pellets into the breast meat that we're going to be eating. So that is appropriate shot placement on the bird with a shotgun. Now, we literally just talked about bow hunting for turkeys this morning. So this picture orchestrates bad information that can just get printed off of the internet, and I am going to explain this. So all of these pictures down here below the big one, all 4 of these show different oriented turkeys on shot placement with a bow. So this says bow, that's shot placement, and all 4 of these are shot placement with a bow. There is one that I really don't like, and what did we talk about? Bow hunting for turkeys. Where is
One of you were saying that this is wrong because on that one it's aiming for like the chest part, and it should be more at like the brownish spot on the wing, because it also be like going through the feet so it can't get away, and it wouldn't be like hurt, like it wouldn't like take a while, and like the turkey wouldn't be hurt.
It wouldn't suffer.
Yeah, it would die quickly and wouldn't go through a bunch of pain.
So
it would be good.
The reason for this, so it's this spot right here. Instead of the drawing, it's that copper patch. So we're going to talk about the bird that's at full strut. What you actually want to aim for is the copper patch on the wing. Right on the front corner of that copper patch, you're significantly dropping that white dot onto that copper patch. The reason for that is there's this phrase called, if you shoot them high, watch them fly. You hit that bird high, it's gonna fly. They don't bleed like big game. They're going to crawl into God's thickest crap of vegetation growing in the woods. They are going to curl up, and that is where they are going to die. You probably killed the bird, but good luck recovering the bird. And that's the goal. We want to shoot the bird so we can enjoy the hunt. We want to recover the bird. And what do we want to do with the bird? Eat it. She is constantly bugging me when we go fishing. Can we keep it? No, it's not a game fish that we're going to eat. And she gets really discouraged when we catch and release fish because she wants to catch and eat fish. So the whole concept of this is to enjoy the hunt, but recover the animal and eat it.
Yeah.
So if you take that archery shot to the front corner of that copper patch, where you're at, the copper patch is giving you a target, but what you're actually hitting are the upper hips of that animal. And what's going to happen is if they can't walk, they can't run.
And they need to run to take off because they're too heavy to just like flap.
Yes, the bird is too heavy to just go from stationary to flapping its wings and flying. You're taking out the rear wheel drive. You're taking out their running equipment. You take them out at the hips.
They're like trying to walk without legs.
Exactly. And they can't fly. We can't fly. That's exactly what you're doing with that bird. You take that out, but you're still hitting all of the vitals.
And then you can still eat the...
Exactly. So it's the ethics of recovery. You're not necessarily aiming for like vital organs of the heart and the lungs, but you are still hitting vital organs right on that copper patch, but you're actually taking out their legs, and then they can't fly, and it's going to exponentially increase the chance for recovery with an archery shot. Now that's just on a strutting turkey. So something we have not talked about. Are you gonna shoot that bird with a shotgun? This strutting turkey, that turkey that's so excited, his neck's tucked back. Are you gonna shoot at that?
No.
No, how come?
Because you can't aim for the neck because it's like tucked in.
Exactly. So this, no joke, this is something that we haven't talked about. So if we have that strutting turkey that's coming into a call, you're gonna wait for me, and this is gonna be your green light. When I whisper to you, are you ready? Are you on them?
Yes.
And you answer everything that you're ready, this is your green light. And when he picks his head up,
And then you can get the neck.
that's your shot. You don't have to wait for me to say shoot him. When you see that bird telescope his
When
head.
you shoot him when he's like all poofed up, will he like still be poofed up when you recover him, or will he be like flat feathers again?
Good question. He's going to stretch out a little bit. He's not going to be all poofed up. But typically when you shoot a bird, the color of their head is going to stay that color of when you shot him, because the blood flow has not changed, because the heart is not beating and the blood can't move. So a bird is still going to hold the same colors, but their body is just going to go limp. Got it?
Noodle.
Like a noodle, limp noodle. So we don't want to shoot at this, but when I make that last call and he periscopes his head, there's your shot.
Mm-hmm.
You can go even a little bit lower. You can go almost base of neck right here, like right into those feathers. Now this is also going to depend on how far your shot is. So if that bird is 40 yards, you're going to want to bring it up just a little bit.
It says it'll drop because of how far it is.
That's a possibility, but the big thing is your spread pattern's getting really wide. The further out you go, the wider it gets.
It has more time to spread out.
Exactly. That's why we're using the choke size that we're using an extra full choke.
That makes it smaller, right?
That makes it a smaller, tighter pattern. So we don't want that bird too close, because it's going to be hard to shoot, because that pattern is going to be really, really tight. We're going to want that bird probably about 25 to 35 yards away. And that's going to give it appropriate shot size pattern for your shotgun. And one of the downsides, if we did accidentally get a couple of those pellets in that breast meat that we're going to eat,
It'll still be okay, right?
it would be totally fine. But that metal is so hard.
You don't want crunch on it.
It hurts. It hurts. It's not like biting into a piece of meat that has a little piece of soft lead into it that you can just spit out, or a little piece of copper, that tungsten that we got that we're shooting at turkeys.
Yeah.
Could chip your teeth. Yeah, it'll give you a toothache. It'll hurt. I know this. It hurts. So don't chip my teeth.
Okay.
You aim up here, and I'll try to give you the best shot opportunity for that perfect yardage.
Yes.
And you don't shoot the bird doing this. You shoot the bird doing this when he periscopes his head.
But he'll still be poofy, just head up, right?
Yep. He would actually go, when the head comes up, the tail goes down. That would be more of what you'd call half strut. Full strut, full strut, full strut.
So I think, what would that one be?
Just chilling. Excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for helping.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give a big thanks to my daughter Kennedy. she's been looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this weekend where she can go out into the field as a legal New York State hunter and actually squeeze the trigger on her own. She's called game in for me. She's witnessed a whole bunch, but for her to actually have the finger on the trigger, she and I'm probably more excited than she is. So big thanks to my daughter. I can't wait to spend this time in the field with you, kid. As an instructor, this is our goal to pass on to you, to other youth hunters, for you to be mentors to other hunters. If you're learning and absorbing all this information, just be safe, be very clear and concise with students that you're teaching on what the goals are, and really, really stress the ethics of what we're doing. That's what I've done with my daughter, and she asks all the right questions. And if she doesn't know, she doesn't do it, she inquires. She asks these questions. That's why I love having her in here with me. I'm so proud of this kid. So in a little bit, we're gonna go out, we're gonna target shoot, but we're gonna finish this itinerary, and then we're gonna go have some fun in the field. So I've been really proud of I'm biased because she's my daughter, but Kennedy asks questions. She doesn't just take my word as the gospel. If she wants to learn more about it, she inquires about it. She asks the questions. What the what ifs, the what about that, what in this scenario. Yesterday was her 12th birthday. She got a brand new 410 shotgun. She can't wait to shoot it, but she's asking me all of these questions about the gun. Can we hunt this with it? Can I shoot deer with it? Like, I know the different shot loads for different species of birds, but she couldn't remember the word. A slug. She goes, can I hunt deer with this? She's asking all of these questions, and I gave her the yeses and the nos, but the ethics. She asked, can I shoot a coyote with this? And I said, absolutely. This is a shotgun, and under definition in New York State, absolutely. You could hunt coyotes with this, but it's not ethical. And I don't need to elaborate on that with her because she understands the ethics of it. What's our goal? I harvest my garden. I harvest vegetables. What do we do when we hunt? We kill. We kill the animal. I don't harvest animals, I kill them. I harvest vegetables, I kill the animal. That's my goal. And I feed my family with that animal. It is not ethical to try to kill a coyote with a 410. I don't think it is. You could use buckshot. It's only got 3 pellets in it, maybe 4. Don't quote me on that, depending on the length of the shotgun shell. It's not ethical. I want nothing to do with it. I explained that to Kennedy. She completely understood. She understands the difference between legal written and ethics. So I love the inquisition of my daughter, where she asks the most appropriate questions, and I will always praise her for that.
She's a clever girl.
She is a clever girl. She's like that Jurassic Park raptor. Clever girl. So something I did with my kids, probably, Kennedy's 12, so 6-7 years ago when we got our Beagle. I got both of our daughters Red Ryder BB guns. When they were at that age, they are not strong enough to cock that lever action. They physically can't do it. So this is a buck model Red Ryder BB gun. It is smaller than your traditional Red Ryder BB gun. Kennedy got a Red Ryder. Leah, her little sister, got the buck model. It's a lot shorter, it's a lot smaller, but this lever action is so hard for that little child to actually cock it and operate it. Yes, there's BBs in it, but the reason I got these for my daughters at 5 and 3 years old was when we got the Beagle. I love rabbit hunting. The Beagle, Kelly dog, she loves rabbit hunting. I got both of the kids Red Ryder BB guns, and we would go rabbit hunting, but we had rules. You don't point it at your sister, you don't point it at me, you don't point it at the dog. This is where you stand, this is where we walk. if we're walking and there's a tin can on the ground, they ask for permission. I help them cock it. They have safety glasses. They know the rules. But the number one thing that I was doing at 3 years old and 5 years old was muzzle control. You don't point it at me, you don't point it at your sister, you don't point it at the dog.
Or your director's expensive telephone.
Yeah, or my director's expensive camera. What we were practicing back then was muzzle control. Here we are today at 12 years old when we were doing the hunter ed course. I absolutely loved doing this in the field when we were doing the blood trail. I took a Remington 700 action stock, glued in a dowel. It's a broomstick. It is nothing more than a full piece of wood that looks like a rifle. When we do the blood trail, whoever is in the lead has the mock inert firearm. Muzzle control. That's all I care about as an instructor. We're actively doing a blood trail in the field. Kennedy's turn. Whoever was in lead gives the firearm, the inert firearm to Kennedy. They go to the back of the line. Now Kennedy's taking the lead. And as we were walking, I yelled, "Kennedy!" And she just turned her head. She looked with her head. She didn't turn her shoulders. She didn't sweep the whole entire rest of the line at 12 years old. She looked with her head. I have beat muzzle control into the heads of my children for the past 6 years because here we are today. She's going to have a firearm in her hand, pursuing game with me. I don't have to worry about her. This is something that we've practiced for years. They don't even recognize it, but it's the muscle memory that was created back then, and it's in their brains today, and they don't even need to think about it. So we're gonna cut, and we're gonna go right back into why the shot placement was so important. So you have a small target. The bird is pretty big, but your target is very small. You body shoot a bird, wasted meat, lack of recovery, lack of ethics, have some patience, have some trigger discipline. Not the head, not just below the head. Pick that line right at base of neck, kind of where that feather line starts to meet on the base of the neck of the turkey. That's going to be your target where you're going to want to shoot a bird with a shotgun at that appropriate effective range. All right, so, good things right here. After the shot, reload. You know, it doesn't even say it here. I'm gonna tell you right now, you shoot, reload. If you have a single shot, eject that old one, get another one in there, watch the bird, make sure nothing reanimates, but here's another thing. Reload and get on that bird as fast as possible. That term, chicken with its head cut off, you shoot the bird and it's flopping and flopping and flopping and flopping. Not often, but that bird can reanimate and take off running. When you get to the bird, I'm gonna explain all of this right here. So something that's not listed on here, very important. You shoot the bird piles up, it's doing the chicken with its head cut off, it's flopping on the ground. Reload. If you're on the ground or you're in a blind, just get another load in your gun, safety on, bring the gun with you. When you get to the bird, when you put hands on the bird, don't pick it up by the feet and hold it upside down, because when they go upside down, those wings will beat the heck out of you. The spurs on a turkey, I want everybody to think about this. There's no polite way to say it, but look at where the butthole of a bird is in comparison to where the spurs of the bird are located. Those spurs have so much bacteria on them. If that spur penetrates your skin, you have a very, very, very high likelihood of getting an infection. When you pick up the bird for the very first time, grab the bird by the head and the neck, grab it by, not the head, grab it by the neck and hold it straight out. Their wings flap down here, less likely to actually hit you, and those legs are nowhere near your body. You will not get spurred by that bird. Just grab it by the neck. That's where you shot them. You're gonna get some blood on your hands, but you're gonna get that anyways when it's time to take care of the bird. Grab it by the neck and hold the bird out. Don't pick them up by the feet. That's a lot of people's go-to thing, and I've seen too many people get injured by turkey spurs. It's just a spur, it's a little poke. It's the bacteria that's on those spurs that's really gonna get you sick and lead to an infection. All right, some of the biggest mistakes right here. Moving too much. Still, stealth, don't move too much. Listen to where the bird is, readjust accordingly. What we mentioned before in previous segments of this video, if the bird's behind structure, behind tree, behind something, premeditate the direction of travel of the bird, move your body and aim in that direction before the bird gets there when your movement can be concealed. Calling too much, there's a time and a place. Don't overcall. In nature, let what happens in nature make you are the one painting that audible picture. Make it sound as natural as possible. If you get that bird fired up, there's a time and a place to call to that bird and continue to do it. Really take his temperature, fire him up, silence. You get that gobble way off there, don't continue to call. You're just going to turn into white noise. Time and a place to cut distance on that gobbler, time and a place to call to him, time and a place to just shut up. So, following this system, you're not just going to hunt turkeys, you're really going to understand their dynamics better. It's going to make you a better hunter. It's going to make you a more proficient turkey hunter. And understanding the birds is going to make you an absolute turkey killer in the woods. Having some trigger discipline, watching the birds, listening to the birds, and just remember that some of those fundamentals that we just discussed about movement, concealing movement, overcalling, decoy placement, I think that was a really, really important one. Putting decoys to your strong side, but not having decoys in line of sight with you. That's going to be really, really important decoy hunting. So I really think that sums up kind of a full elapse of turkey hunting scenarios that I really practice. I really hope this helps you in the field. And finishing up right here, I want to give a big thanks to my daughter Kennedy for inadvertently walking in and having a seat with me and doing a little chit chat talking about shot placement on turkeys, which was honestly great timing because it's something that's really fresh in her mind because we're literally talking about all of those things right now. And we're going to be packing it up, and real soon here we're going to go into the field, go to a range, and give my daughter some trigger time, and we're going to sight in that new 410.